Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and especially you nephew, welcome back to another Riftbound video. Now, for today, we kind of got to go out of order. I know I said I was going to cover Lux, but we got to skip over to Sett. I want to find a better game to show for Lux because the deck my brother-in-law was playing just I don't know what the deck was trying to do. I didn't realize that entire game he played one unit and it got insta killed and then I won. So that wasn't a real game to showcase. So instead we're gonna go over this Sett deck. Me and him decided just to look on Build Up Archive. I was like, yeah, because at first we were trying to find decks that weren't topping tournaments. Um, and then for our last game, we are just like, skip it, let's just find the strongest deck that we think is interesting. So he played this Kaisa deck, and I ended up playing the Sett deck. So we're gonna go over that deck list now. So for the legend, his effect is when a buffed unit you control would die, you may pay a recycled rune and exhaust me, spend its buff, and recall it exhausted instead. And then when you conquer, ready me. Um, And then for the chosen champion, we have this Sett, Kingpin Sett, tank. So I must be assigned combat damage first, and then I get +1 might for each buffed friendly unit at my battlefield. So he can get extremely strong in a deck like this, because this deck is kind of crazy. Most of these cards, or not most of these cards, 1, 2, 3, 4 cards I did not see in the game, and it's still, I feel like, did exactly what it needed to do. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it when we get to it. So for this set is the Brawler set. It says when I'm played, and when I conquer, buff me, and then spend my buff, give me +4 this turn. So he can be a on play becomes a 5/5, and then to spin, or I should talk about buffs, because that's very important for this deck. I wish I could see tokens here, because the buff, yeah, I can't see tokens here. But buffs are very specific in this deck. I've talked about this before, but I'm gonna go over it again. Um, if you see that description on it, it says if I don't have a buff, I get a +1/+1 buff. That buff is a specific token that you attach to your character. So the spend my buff effect is you will take away that token, but this spend my buff gives him +4. So instead of a 5/5 with the buff, he'll become a 5/8 for the turn. But then on the end of the turn, he'll return to a 5/4, so he won't have that buff that he originally got because he spent it. Same thing for this effect. You spend the buff, so you take a unit with a buff, take the buff away, and then call it back to your base for a recycled rune, and you can only do that if he's not exhausted. But yeah, so that's buffs in a nutshell. So that's what this deck is about. It's about buffing your units. So we have Pit Rookie here is a 2/2, and then when you play me, buff another friendly unit. Same thing, if it doesn't have a buff, it gets a +1 buff. +1 might, that is. And then this Chitara of Cloudfield, I think that's how you say it, or Kitara. Says when you play another unit, buff me. So she would get her own +1 buff, becoming a 2/2. We have this Trifarian Glory Seeker. It says when you play me, buff me, or Legion effect. When you play me, buff me. So you have to play another card this turn. So these really go hand in hand. You can play her first, and then when you play another unit, buff me. So you can play her for 2, no recycle, and then play her for 2. And because you played her, she will buff herself, and because you played her, or because you played this, let me stop saying her. You can play the Kitara first, and then play the Trifarian. And because you play the Trifarian, after you played another card, she will get a buff, and then because you played another card, she will get a buff. So they buff each other in that sense. And then we have First Mate. when you play me, ready another unit. This just seems to be a good card in any deck that runs orange, to accelerate any card that doesn't really have it, for 3 energy. And it's also a three body unit, so it's not too bad for pushing. So yeah, it's a really good card to play card, or to curve cards out so that you can get a little bit of aggression. Then we have the Kinku Monk. When you play me, buff 2 other friendly units. So this is just an extremely stronger version of this Pit Rookie. It's just buffing 2 for a 4 and a recycle, but it's also a 4 unit. So a really strong unit card here. And then we have Kiana, I think that's how you say it. Her ability is Deflect, so opponents must pay in a recycle rune to choose her with a spell or ability. And then when I conquer, channel 1 or draw 1 or channel 1 rune exhausted. I believe this is mostly for gaining runes back, because you will be recycling a lot with your leader ability. And cards like this Lee Sin, you need to get pretty high in runes. So if I did not play her this game, I know that for sure, because I know I ended the game with her in my hand, because I thought I was just constantly too late to play her. But I think this is very crucial to sort of circumvent your leader effect, especially if you can get a buff on her, because you can conquer, and even if they target her to kill, you can recall her with your leader effect if she has a buff, putting her back into your base and thus being able to conquer again on your returning turn. So yeah, really strong card here that I just didn't see the way for when I was playing. But this Fiora is also a strong card. It says when I'm mighty, I have deflect, ganking, and shield. And mighty is just when a card is 5 or greater in might. So as long as she has 1 buff on her, she is mighty. Therefore, she has deflect, ganking, and shield. Just extremely strong. That's a lot of abilities for just gaining 1 buff. Deflect means that same thing as this Kiana. They must pay an extra recycle to target her for abilities. Ganking means that she can go from battlefield to battlefield, and then shield means that if she's attacked into, she gains +1 might for that turn. So she would be a 4/5 with a buff, and then if somebody attacked into her, she would be a 4/6 defending. But yeah, really strong unit here. Finally, for our last unit, we have this Lee Sin. Centered, it says accelerate. You can pay 1 in a recycled body rune or orange rune to have them enter ready. And then other buffed friendly units at my battlefield have +2 might. So this just like this 2/1 can become a 2/4 with this card next to it. It's kind of ridiculous. And if this gets a buff, you could just recall this back to your base with this leader ability. So this leader ability is extremely strong. It's just it's not the easiest to pilot. I think it has some simple plays, but things like this Kiana is sort of multiple steps ahead that you can think of once you master the deck. But I am not a master of said deck, but I can see why I got, I think, second place in Group A. It's an extremely strong deck. Your opponent has a very hard time removing bodies on your board, and it is chosen. So it's not like the first time a buff unit you control dies, you have to do this. You can decide on which unit is most important for you to revive, essentially. But yeah, we have this, or that's it for our units. So let's go into spells. We're running 11. 3 of the signature spells: Showstopper, buff a friendly unit in your base and then move it to a battlefield. So it's just an instant attack after buffing a card. So things like this Kiona, you can play this out, 4 in a recycle, 1 in a recycle. Really, to be honest, that's essentially an accelerate cost, but you are also buffing her, and that starts up his leader ability or legend ability. So yeah, really strong card here. Just didn't get to draw it. And then we have Hidden Blade. You can hide it with the recycled rune and pay 0 for or react with it later for 0. And then it says kill a unit at a battlefield. Its controller draws 2. It's also an action card, so you can just play it for 2 in a recycle out of hand. And then we have this spell Facebreaker. Also can be hidden, and also action card, but it says stun a friendly unit and an enemy unit at the same battlefield. They don't deal combat damage this turn. Which we'll have a question coming up later about this card. And then we have Challenge, which is an action card. It says play on your turn or in showdowns. Choose a friendly unit and an enemy unit. They deal might, or they deal damage equal to their mights to each other. And then we have Call to Glory. So this is reaction. You may play this, and you may spend a buff as an additional cost. If you do, ignore this spell's cost. Give a unit plus your 3 might this turn. So in a deck like this, where almost all your units end up with a buff, this is just a semi-free 3 cost. Or if you want to pay the 3 cost, you can leave the buff on them and just give them plus 3 might. So it's extreme. This is extremely strong card. Fortunately, didn't get to draw it. But what I did get to draw is what I feel like may need to be up. It's weird because you do only need 1. Much like the Jinx deck I played in the last video, you do only need 1 of these on your board because you're really only playing out 1 or 2 units per turn. And if you are playing out 1 or 2 units per turn, they most likely are buffing something already. But Arena's Bar, as a gear, buff an exhausted friendly unit if it doesn't have a buff, it gains +1. So you play this out, play a character, tap this, give it a buff, and that's any friendly unit. So all of these just become instant targets for your leader effect, even the ones that don't normally buff. Like this buffs another unit, but you can buff it with Arena's Bar. This also buffs 2 other units, you can buff it with Arena's Bar. This doesn't have anything to do with buffs, buff it with Arena's Bar. This comes in arrested, buff it with Arena's Bar. Now it's mighty. It's like, it's extremely strong. It's extremely consistent, and extremely consistent deck. For the battlefields he was running, he has Grove of the God Willow. When you hold here, draw 1. Windswept Hillcock. Units here have ganking, and then Monastery of Hirana. When you conquer here, you may spend a buff to draw 1. You split the runes 5 and 7. 5 order runes, 7 body runes. I wonder if there's a specific reason behind that. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Over. There's 4 specific. I guess these 2. Side. Oh, there's 2 more in there. But only 1, 2. Yeah, and only 2 recycles. So I'm what I'm seeing mostly in rune selection is just the frequency of recycling is your priority rune. There's only 2 real cards in here. Well, 4 real cards total in the deck that need to recycle order runes, so that's lower than the body runes here. And they're also running a sideboard. I decided not to mess with the sideboard for 2 reasons. I have been looking at this game a lot more than my opponent, and I know this, so I didn't want to, knowing that they're playing Kai'Sa and knowing that Kai'Sa does a lot of spell damage, I didn't put this in there on purpose because I felt like that was just unfair, because it just stops what Kai'Sa wants to do, which is spell damage. And the tournament, of course, throw this in here from your sideboard. But in just, you know, this fun play showcase. This, I was like, that's a bit too sweaty. So I just ran straight to it. This I would love to try though. When I attack stun an enemy unit here, stunning in a deck like this where all your characters normally or quite consistently have a buff, is very strong. It is but it is only on attack, so I wonder how well this really works. But mostly she has shield, so she'll be a 6 as a defender if you can give her a buff, which more than likely this deck can do. But yeah, the stunning an enemy unit as a buff is just really strong. But yeah, that is the deck list. Like I said, it's not my deck list. This comes from the second place player. I guess the name is in here. Yeah, I don't think, yeah, this is just the meta report, so the name isn't here. But yeah, it comes from this tournament deck. But let's hop into the game. But yeah, I'm just looking through the deck because, like I said, this is my first time really playing it. We were just like, let's see what this game's got to offer and let's play the best decks in the game. So I decided to play the ganking battlefield. Actually, is this the game where we have to reset a couple times? Let me make. Oh no, he's setting up his sideboard. But I decided to play the ganking battlefield. Sort of just wanting to see how it works, especially with the fact that I am a buff deck. Being able to jump from battlefield to battlefield is a bit easier when I have +1 on most other cards in the game. Yeah, so he's just fixing his sideboard, and then we go into mulligans. I think I'm mulligan one of my first mates here. Maybe it wasn't worth it to mulligan one of the first mates here because of how strong that ability is. But yeah, they play the acceleration game, so that we both get a point at our beginning phase. I'm mulligan 1, and they start out this turn, or this game, I mean. This game does take a little bit further because we are learning the decks here, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, because I think he's still deciding his mulligan. There it is. So he gets 2 for turn and then passes. Please tell me I actually remember to get my third one. I know I do. Yeah, I do. Because I'm going second, I get an extra rune. And I just play this first mate on curve. Developing a body, but I have no targets to restand, which is fine. And then yeah, we forgot to get our first free point for that battlefield. But they play a Riftbound student and a Noxus Soulful. So really strong board already. If you don't know what the Riftbound student is, each time you play a spell, it gains +1 might. And in a deck like this where you have spells, especially option selecting spells for offense and defense, that Riftbound student is really strong. Oops, I'm cheating. I mean, I guess it counts because they can't really do anything about it. So the card has to be exhausted for me to buff it. But let me go back to it. Yep, buff and exhausted friendly unit. But it doesn't say here, so technically it would have happened either way. I just did it out of order. I had to move this first, it would have been exhausted, and then I could have buffed it with the Arena's bar. So yeah, it works out. It was just out of order. But I do conquer here. And like I said, I go to the one with ganking, so just in case they leave something open for me. I can take it. Now I do misplay here. Very important, very important, very important. And this is extremely important, especially in this deck where you're always, not always, but constantly recycling runes with your legend ability. This hidden blade costs 2 in a recycled order rune, right? Let's see if I can catch it. See if I can catch it. Go back down. Okay, let's just talk about this card. This Facebreaker card, you can hide it by recycling a rune and paying 0 for it later. But it is also an action card, so you can do it in showdowns. But this is just 2 costs, no recycled runes. This is 2 cost and a recycled rune, but you can also hide this for just a recycled rune and play it on your turn or in showdowns. So I end up hiding the this Facebreaker. The reason why that's not smart is because the plan is to leave 2 up anyways to use one of my spells on my opponent's turn. So right now, what I currently did is I paid a recycle rune, and then to use the hidden blade, I have to pay another recycle rune, push me back down to 3 in a deck that already is sort of low on runes, and I think that does keep me back from plays in this game. So, like I said, important things for piloting, knowing what your deck does, knowing exactly how you want to use your deck. But yeah, but it ends up being fine because of the play my opponent makes. But we'll let it play out. Yep, they tap all 6 to play out their Kaisa. Well, tap all 5. They misplayed. It is tap 5 and recycle 1 to have her enter ready, and then when you conquer, draw 1. Now I know that this deck has crazy options, so I do not want that draw alive. So they go to conquer here, but I'm like I can't let her survive. So I go to use Hidden Blade, because they go to conquer, or they go to try to conquer, which activates the showdown. So I get to play this during the showdown to kill the Kaisa, and they didn't leave up, or they only left up 1, which I think Defy is possible with 1, but it's if they had it in hand. And I actually know Defy's a green card, so yeah, the Kaisa will just die and they will not conquer. And then they deliberately decided not to move up their units here. Oh no, they did want to. So the Ravenboom student will conquer, so he'll gain a point. But I will reveal this to do the Facebreaker. So now both of our units won't deal damage to each other, which I believe that means they just stay there. It doesn't make sense. But I guess besides you're forced to retreat both of them. I don't know, but there's no damage happened, but the move happened. So we just played it so that they stay there. But now we go into my turn. It does have ganking, so I can move it from one battlefield to the other. So now it's 4 into 2, starting another showdown. They play Stupefy, which targets my unit, which brings his might down 1 for the turn, and buffs up the Ravenboom student 1 for the turn. Oh, I'm just now realizing they did not draw 2 for the Hidden Blade. So it was 3-3. That showdown there, I'm all over the place right now. But it was 3-3. So we'll trade, but I will use my effect to recycle a rune, and he will lose his buff to go back. So I tap my leader and I recycle a rune. Recycle a rune. Am I cheating? Am I cheating? There it is. There it is. There we go. Good job, Donovan. Good job, Donovan. I will play this to my base and then tap Arena's bar to buff her into for the next turn. But yeah, so now she has her effects active, and then in the next turn I should be able to get a bit active with her. But yeah, just like that, I still have unit advantage. In this game, they only have the Noxus Hopeful. They do gain a point for holding, but they only have one unit on the board currently, especially because I got rid of their champion unit so early. It's really strong. So they do move, because of the other field that gives them ganking, they do move to the open arena, which does start a showdown, but I'm tapped out, so it doesn't really matter. They will gain an extra point though, going up 5-3, I think I'm at. I don't know why it's cut off at the bottom there. But yeah, it's 5-3. Then he plays this to his base to draw one, and also has tank. And then I'm trying to figure out the right way to play this, because I want to tap down some runes before one of my characters die, and to be able to use my Sett effect at maximum value, because that's something that I missed last time. I should have played something and then did the ganking effect in case something died, but it's fine. I play this, or I move this to the ganking arena, gaining a point, or not gaining a point, because they had a reaction for me, dealing 3 to a unit at battlefield. Because he was not buffed, I cannot use my Sett effect anyways. And then yeah, they use their leader ability, which I didn't even talk about. Their leader ability gives them a free rune to recycle, essentially. But because they played that, oh yeah. So now I'm trying to, yeah, now I'm doing it right. Yeah, pay 4, tap her, buff another one. Now I get to move this here, because this is something I actually want to protect in case they have more spells for me. Swinging 5 into 4, so they can have a buff spell or a damage spell. They don't, so I do conquer. And I will, oh yeah, I just conquer, gaining a point, and then tap 2 for Trifarian Glory Seeker, paying her to, I guess that's defense. Do I want her as defense or in my base? I think I want her in my base. Oh, I guess I want her as defense. Because I control that battlefield, I play it to the battlefield, and then because she is the second card I played this turn, she gets her Legion effect, giving her a buff. And so this is what I was talking about. All 3 of my units on board have a buff, which means they're all eligible for the Sett effect. So, especially against a Kai like Kaisa, or a deck like Kaisa, where they are removing or trying to remove a lot, I would just, she'll die. I can't do anything about that, but I can use my Sett effect to spend her buff, send her back to base. Which just makes it really annoying and hard to push over a deck, especially a deck like Kaisa, where they want to fill in the or remove through spells. So I'm essentially slowing down the removal, at least one body a turn. And these bodies are pretty strong, so it's not like they can, or they can have a lot of spells, but if you're using a lot of spells, you're using your runes for non-unit cards, and units is how you score points in this game. So, um, very hard situation that the Kai'Sa is in this matchup. Um, so I think that's what they're figuring out now is what to play next. Um, they do push up that lecturing yordle to the ganking arena, gaining a point, going up to 6, which does mean I do have to put on a little bit more pressure. I think I'm only at 4 or 5, I guess. Oh yeah, I was reminding him. I was reminding him that he can reinforce uh, battlefields that he is in control of instead of always playing it to his base. So he decides to do that, which is smart. He leaves 4 up as well. I gained a holding point. I forgot. Um, leaves 4 up for his spells. Um, I still have the Glory Seeker, so I think I just have to play this as best as I can. Um, so we'll see. So I tap 4 for this Kinku Monk. Playing him to the base to rebuff my Fiora, even though she's standing. I wasn't able to use the bar for that. And then I'll send both of these up here, attacking 10 into currently 4. But they do have spells for me. Yep, smoke screen to give -4 might to one of my Fioras, which also buffs up his Ravenboom student. So it's now 6 into 5. So this is also something that I'm not sure of, because this is a magic thing. I don't know if it's in this game, because in this game you assign damage by numbers, not by character. So I don't know if, because he has the tank effect, right? I have to assign damage to him first. This Fiora can only deal 1 damage, so I will deal 1 damage to him with this Fiora. And then this Fiora can deal 5. So I don't know if, because I am still using the second Fiora to deal 5 for his last damage, does all of the 5 go into him, and this Ravenbloom student survives, or do I split that out again amongst the 5 total that I have? So that's something that I'll have to check on the rules for it, or if you guys have the questions in the comments, please let me know. We play it total against total because that's what I remember being talked about, is total against total. So I will lose one of my Fioras, and they will lose their board, or both of their lecturing yordle and the Ravenbloom student. Actually, I won't lose my Fiora because she is buffed, so I will use the Sett effect to have her spend her buff and recall her to the base, which I actually did on purpose. There's a reason why I did not buff the other guy with Arena's Bard, because I wanted to use Arena's Bard to rebuff this Fiora, putting her back into the protection field and giving her all her effects again. I retreat the I forgot what that thing's called, the Legion card, back to my base, because there are 6 points. I'm at 5 now. Because if I left her there, there's a higher chance of me losing her, because a lot more spells do damage to units at battlefields than just units in general. And I want her to be able to conquer twice on their turn, because the Kai'Sa has a lot to rebuild from at this point. Having no units on the board and being low in hand size, but they will conquer here, gaining a point and drawing. So they'll go up to 7. Oh yeah, that was the plan. The game plan was hopefully that my Fiora here will stay. But yeah, no, this is a removal deck. So they will do Falling Star once again. And then so I actually think I should have been able to save her. When we played this game, I know I forgot to tap the leader when I use his effect, but it says when I conquer ready me. So I actually think because that Kiora died in the battle, I used the ability to bring it back to my base, and then the conquer went through after the battle was, or after the showdown was over. He should have been ready, and I should have been able to save that Fiora. But they do gain their 7th point. But they only leave 1 up, which is fine by me. So now I will push up these 2, swinging 5, 3, 8 into the Kai'Sa. They don't have a spell to counteract it. I will gain a point. I will tap 4 for Sett, buff the Sett, and then move this here. Gain another point, going to 7. Oh, I'm sorry, and then playing this Legion card again, buffing her. I don't know why I put 2 on there. I think it's because we were calling it at this point. What I really should have did was conquered and then played my Sett to the battlefield that I conquered to, but I'm pretty sure we call it here. Yeah, they have Void Seeker, which deals 4 to a unit, and then essentially here he needs enough spells to completely remove my board, and also a body on board to conquer, and then to conquer actually no, because I only have this guy, but I can save. Yeah, so this pretty much was GG's, because he needed another body to conquer somewhere to stop me from just gaining all my points on the next turn. Because on the next turn, or because on this turn, he can kill this. I let that guy die. He didn't have a buff anyways. But I'm really just going to save this Kiora. I'm saving my ability for the Kiora, or Fiora, I'm sorry. So that if he had targeted her, I'll just recycle her own, call her back to my base, and then I can split, conquer both, and win the game. So yeah, it's pretty much GG's. Yeah, he calls it there. And yeah, I went drawing through my deck because I feel like I didn't see a lot of stuff that I feel like was in there. But that is pretty much it for the Sett deck. Like I said, really strong effect, really annoying to, especially against a removal deck, to try to get around. I mean, I guess annoying anyway, because it's not even like die or targeted by spells. Like it's just die in general. So even in a deck that can sort of battle out more, I guess it would have to be an extremely tall deck. Might have problems with it, but I mean, you have options like this Sett that you can push to 8 might. You have these tank options in this deck. You've got a face breaker to have them not deal damage to certain cards. You got this buff option. There's so many options for this deck that is possibly insane. I see why this deck performs so well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all are enjoying the Riftbound content and are excited for this game to come out at the end of this month. I appreciate you all for watching. Make sure you leave a like if you liked it. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see some more Riftbound content, and I will see you all in the next one.